Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of Next to Madison. This is episode 182. And on this episode, we are talking relationships and dating. I'm actually sitting down with a world-renowned matchmaker based out of Miami, and she's going to give us all the goods. Relationship advice if you are married, relationship advice if you're trying to get your person to commit, and relationship advice if you're single like myself. So I'm very excited about this episode. I'm going to ask her the deep, juicy questions. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this brief announcement with our guest on Next to Madison.
Hey, it's Madison Malloy. I'm excited to announce that my new book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up, is now available online and in stores. You can pick up your copy today by going to Amazon or barnesandnoble.com. This new book is a humorous self-help guide to help you remove the obstacles that are holding you back so you can take things less seriously and live a more enjoyable life. I'm so excited for you to read it. Now back to the show.
All right, we are back, and I've got my amazing guest on this episode of Next to Madison. I would like to welcome the amazing matchmaker, Claudia Duran. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so
Madison.
excited.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm excited because everyone wants to talk about relationships. Relationships are so juicy. So let's just I just want to dive right into it. Like, in your opinion as a matchmaker, why do you feel that people find dating so difficult?
I think it's gotten increasingly difficult. I think we're living in a time where everybody has this illusion of an abundance, sufficiency, when really a connection with someone is actually so rare and special because there's so many different, and I think it's changing because the landscape has gotten saturated, but because there's so many apps and so much digital and DMing that people don't really, I think they're falling into the trap of like getting caught up with the serotonin and the chase rather than actually pushing through. So people are getting addicted to the chase without actually pushing through to the real stuff, the real intimacy, the real connection with other people.
No, that makes sense. That's the problem, is like there's too many options on the table that nobody can make a decision anymore.
Not only are there too many options on the table, but I think that there's also the options that are on the table are like the fast food of the drive-through of love and romance. So you're going through a drive-through, you don't know what's in it, you don't know if it's been verified, inspected, what you're getting, who knows. And I feel that even the people that are doing that are maybe sincere in the beginning or go into it with good intentions and sincerity, I feel like even they get disheartened very quickly and turn to the ego feeding, digital addictive trap that these apps are. So the apps want to keep you swiping. That's what they want. And they want to keep you renewing. They don't want you to be matched and happy and leave. And the more people on the apps, the better. But really, for us, the more people on the apps is the worst. And it's gone up since the pandemic. And so have the scams. I think I don't remember the exact percentage. CNBC said it was like 58 or 68%. That's a lot. That's a very high percentage of scams.
Like scams, meaning like catfishing?
Not just catfishing, but scams, money scams, people asking for money, people falling for these scammers that are looking for money or wire transfers or whatever they're looking for, monetary compensation of some sort, gifts. Who knows? I mean, this sort of thing happens in real life, of course, but I think it's even more prone to happen online because of the nature of online, which is anonymous. And also, in my opinion, people who have more of a difficult time meeting people in real life go to these apps because it's comfortable and easy without having to show up and be themselves and connect with people so it's going away from the authenticity of a real connection and emotional intelligence and sensing another person and developing that, particularly in the younger generations, right? That I'm seeing more and more.
Yeah.
As opposed to hiding behind the technology. I hear all the time on the apps that people aren't even meeting. They're just apping to death and then they don't even actually meet.
No, that's true. And it's funny, like
It's so bizarre.
my girlfriends are more picky, but my guy friends are definitely like, I think they just swipe right on everybody, and then they only talk to people that like they want to. So sometimes they're just, it's just like
Right.
just an excuse for bad behavior in a way. But then if you go to a bar, what you'll notice is people are usually just with
On their
you're
phones.
looking down. Yeah. So you can't make a real connection with somebody if you're not kind of open to, you know, actually meeting people. And I've also heard too, like there some people like are using sites and apps that aren't even matchmaking or like dating sites. I've heard some people, this hasn't happened to me, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because some people are using like LinkedIn to meet people. And I'm like, that's a great idea.
So yeah, I mean, people are turning to different modalities like LinkedIn or I guess Instagram. I think that might be better because at least there's not that intention of hooking up or romantic intention. I honestly don't know. I've personally never been on a dating app in my life, and I feel that as women, there's a safety element that I worry about on the apps. I guess as men too, because let's face it, there's predatory women as well. Okay.
Yeah.
However,
We call them
think
gold
it's so
diggers.
strange to right? We call them that as well as overly materialistic, overly materialistic gold taking women. um, there's all kinds out there, and there's a lot of weirdos. Let's face it. That's why I'm a big proponent of matchmaking. Obviously, this is what I do, and I love it, and it's my passion, and I'm good at it. And I've had a lot of I've had marriages, matches, move-ins, puppy adoptions, right? I had a puppy adoption recently. We're in love and we're adopting a puppy and we're moving in together,
How
which is a
cute.
sign of companionship and yeah, goals, right? Vision and goals for the future.
So how did you get into this?
So so I came from the entertainment business, right? I started my career at Playboy TV International, which was a ton of fun. Then I went to the Hallmark Channel in New York. So it was like Playmates to Saints back to back, kind of a bizarre background. Then I was my ex and I had well, he had a company. I felt like it was mine. I poured my heart and soul into it in medical meetings for a while. Then I was in the private jet business, and then after I left the private jet business, I was like, God, where do you go from here? Right? This was so exciting. I was working with really Vogue and Variety and Annie Leibovitz and shooting G4s at dawn with Annie Leibovitz and really exciting, amazing experiences like that, Cannes Film Festival. So after something like that, what do, right?
Huh?
Well, the universe chose it for me. It ended up being matchmaking. And it was through an introduction that I partnered with an agency in California, in Beverly Hills. And I started working with them and collaborating with them to begin matching people. At first, it was just referring people, which is how the industry gets their database, referring quality singles. Where there's quality singles, there's other quality singles. So I began referring quality singles, and all slowly but surely, they were like, you're chatty. I mean, I could talk to a tree. So I figured, they figured, let's put her in front of some of the clients. Started meeting with clients. Early on, I had a marriage on a first match. So I was kind of like, whoa, there's something to this.
Yeah.
I think I'm good at this. Right. So it was actually a very serendipitous and lovely accident that I ended up here. I was working when I was in the jet business. I was working with Forbes billionaires out in LA, which was very exciting. And I think that also primed me for working with the wonderful entrepreneurs, CEOs, athletes, the type of clients, much like your podcast listeners, these types of people, very affluent, very busy, very selective. And so I think that was the foundation that primed me for being able to work with those people because I understood the mentality, and I had been working to service this type of clientele.
That's awesome. So how do you know, like, what is the trigger to you that two people are a match?
That is a great question. So sometimes when I meet with someone, and I know this sounds crazy, but sometimes when I meet with someone and they open up to me and they're very vulnerable, I get like this urge to help them. And and sometimes it's almost like it's like a tingle, it's like an urge to help them. And sometimes the right person will just show up. I don't know how that happens. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes when I have a connection with someone, I can match them that way. Otherwise, it's purely intuition. Purely intuition. And headhunters do this too. I'm not saying there's anything special. We all have our special qualities and talents. I'm not a clairvoyant or anything like that. But I do credit my intuition and the quality of intuition because I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs, nothing. I haven't for years. I live a very clean and healthy lifestyle. I have a daily meditation and gratitude practice. And I think that that really helps in terms of staying clear, being clear, reading people in situations. I'm a good communicator. I listen well.
Yeah.
I try and make my clients feel as comfortable as possible. I think that creates the right environment for being able to kind of sense what they're looking for. And what I don't sense, I just ask them, right?
Yeah.
And since I'm a communication junkie, sometimes what they say is not everything they're saying. I have to listen to their body language and understand what they're really saying to me. And eventually, if they open up, great. And if not, I still can test things and get a sense for what they might be looking for. But it's a process I really love,
Yeah.
and I enjoy. I find
So,
really fulfilling.
and do
Yeah.
you find that most of your clients are men versus women?
Yes, yes. Most of our clients are men. I want to say probably 80% of our clients are men.
Okay.
The rest are women. And what's been very great to see is that there's been a lot of young women that have been joining. Even I signed a woman that was 24 years old, beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, beauty body, brains, balance, the whole thing. So we're seeing younger and younger women. I drove up in the rain this morning to Fort Lauderdale to meet a 31-year-old. That's still pretty young in
Yeah.
terms of investing in finding love in a partnership. But biologically, it's not that young, right? Because unfortunately, women, as we become more successful, are also held to biological clocks and
Yeah.
things like that. So if they really want to have children and get married, then they need to get on it.
Yeah. Oh,
And
exactly.
they can't do it generally. I mean, they could do it, right? They could do it without a partner, but most of them, of course, want to do it the traditional way, most of them. And so then I'm seeing
Yeah.
more and more successful young women coming to us,
Well, and
which is awesome.
that's what I think I need to do because I had had previous matchmakers, not yourself, come to me and say, "Oh yeah, let me put you in your database." But the problem is when you're not the paying client, you're not the
Right.
priority, which makes sense. I get it. But it was almost like it was wasting your time. I'm like, okay, they just gave me a meal ticket. Like you were just going to dinners and you're
Right.
like, but this isn't really what I'm looking for and blah, blah, blah. And so it's interesting. I always tell like my friends, I'm like, okay, it's fine to be in a matchmaker's database, but if like you really want to get what you're looking for, like you have to flip to the other side,
Yes.
you know? So
Yes. I'm so glad you said that because a lot, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, so yeah, go ahead what you were saying. But yeah, you do have to flip to the other side. I mean, you get what you pay for and it's the principle.
Right. And I kind of like to compare it to a private club, right? So if you are a member of a private club, then you get to go to the club and use the facilities and you're a member and you get all the benefits of being a member. Same thing with matchmaking. If you're not a member of the private club, you could probably still go as a guest once in a while, but you don't get to say what you want. You don't get to order what you want. You don't get to have a say because you're not a member. It's the same thing. A lot of women get very touchy and they say, oh, well, I thought only the men paid. And I say to them, anyone that wants the service pays. If you want us working with you, guaranteeing matches, holding your hand through the process, some people don't need their handhelds, but metaphorically speaking, then you become a member. Then you're one of our members, and we work to match you based on what you're looking for. Because otherwise, you're going to get matched based on what the gentleman's looking for, as you know, only.
Yeah.
And it's not a true match.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it can
exactly.
be. I shouldn't say that, but who's winning? The member.
Right. So do you find that most of your paid clients, their matches are people that are in your database, or do you then get retained and then you basically go out to you're in Miami, so you go out to maybe like Carbone or wherever, and
Yeah.
find people and you're like,
I've
hey.
actually never done that. No, I've actually never, believe it or not, and I go out fairly often, not as much as I used to. I'm definitely not a late night person, and I don't even drink alcohol, so I'm not hanging out at the bars.
Yeah.
I've never actually plucked someone that way. I'm very dialed in terms of good people socially and in my business circles and in my personal circles, and I usually find people that way that I know that have some accountability. I would be nervous to just pluck someone from the bar at Carbone. Who
Yeah.
knows what's going on with that person? Not that they couldn't be a wonderful person, but let's face it.
Yeah, no,
So
that
yeah,
makes
I
sense.
actually.
So let's get into
Mhm,
like
mhm.
juicy, like dating relationship questions. First one being, when should you give up the goodies? And this is probably more for the women because the men are like, well, I don't care. I just want to stick it in whatever I can find. Not all men, sorry, I'm being stereotypical, but women, when should we give up the goods?
I would say there's really no formula for it. A woman has to develop enough emotional intelligence that if she wants something long term, of course, it can happen where you meet someone and the chemistry is amazing and you guys have an emotional connection right away, but that's not likely because the egg doesn't swim to the sperm. Let's face it. Okay, so you have to let men be men and do their hunting because it's biologically innate, just like it is for a woman to want a man that is abundant and can provide for her offspring, whether or not she has them. It's the same thing. It comes from biology, and that's indisputable.
Yep.
But I feel that yeah, it's just the way it is. Um, I think a woman has to seek to make an emotional connection with a man, not just a physical connection.
Well,
So
and the other thing,
whether that's definitely not date number one or number two, because
it,
that's still the getting to know you phase.
exactly. But what I found from friends and from my own experiences as well, you don't really want to sleep with somebody too soon because it's kind of like you remove the chase and then it's everything changes. I like to, pardon me if this sounds crude, but this is just who I am. It's kind of like I tell my girlfriends, I say, listen, like you have all the power before you sleep with them. As soon as you give up the sex, the power dynamic shifts. It's called the power of the pussy for a reason. Keep it for as long as you can. And then you're going to know if the guy's really going to stick around. Because if you just give it up, haven't you noticed how dynamics just change suddenly? And the woman's overthinking everything. Why
So
they like me, blah, 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 blah. It's like a game.
if a woman is too easy to get, that makes her attractiveness fall down the scale, no matter how attractive she is. Okay. So in studies, they showed that if a woman was very attractive, of course, men wanted to chase her more. The more attractive, and what's more attractive to some people is more, it depends, right? It's subjective, what's attractive and sexy to each man. So let's not forget that. But they wanted the woman who held out and was, if she was more selective and appeared to be more selective or appeared to be more difficult to get, her attractiveness factor went up even more. It goes back again to the biology. And I feel like for all the reasons you said, yeah, if a woman is looking to create a relationship, sleeping with someone isn't creating that relationship because that's only the physical part. So why are we rushing the physical part? You need to develop the emotional part as well and the friendship part, because a relationship isn't just sex unless that's what you want. If you just want a relationship just sex, go for it, have a great time, be safe and have a ball. But if
Yeah.
you aren't, then you have to give that relationship a chance to evolve on a relational and friendship level, because that's what stays.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, the longer you can wait, the better. I actually had a woman tell me, she was like a clairvoyant type woman, but she was just saying, women shouldn't really sleep with men that soon because just the way we're built, like you're kind of you're obviously taking something into you. So with that comes a little bit of DNA, which was shocking. And I was like, what? And she goes, and their family history and their trauma. And I'm like, you're telling me that every time I have unprotected sex with some man, I have the potentially have the industrial revolution in my vagina? She goes, yeah. I'm like, well, none of them feel like they're working that hard. So I don't know. She goes, but it's true.
Believe it.
So then she said, have you noticed girls that just are easy and sleep around all the time? Like they're not mentally sane or stable, or they have more issues? And I was like, yeah, it's like because they're taking on so many other issues. And this blew my mind and shut down my vagina. And I was like, oh, Jesus, forgive me for anything I've done, and I will wait for the institution of marriage. And now I'm very frustrated. But there's some power. Yeah.
We can talk after the podcast.
But no, it's true. I always tell people, I'm like, the longer you can wait, the better. And you're going to know probably if the guy is actually looking for a relationship or he's just looking to get laid.
Well, I think sometimes we blame the men, but really it's true about both sexes, right? Because the man might actually be wanting a relationship and he might actually be invested and sincere. But the fact that he was able to get the woman so easily at first decreased his interest in her where he may have originally had interest in her. We have to look at it both ways, okay? And I think that also, I'll give you an example. So my ex-boyfriend and I met, we were introduced through mutual friends, and not somebody I thought that I would initially like at all, which is always kind of funny. That's why I tell people, throw out your lists because you never know. Forget about the list. It's about the connection with another person. So we met and we just were talking and communicating from the minute we met. It was just so refreshing. He was so communicative and so cool. And he said to me, he actually told me he wanted to wait. He said, regardless of where I was on the spectrum, which I was on that board too, because I felt myself liking him and seeing potential. And he was like, I want us to wait because I want us to be friends first. I want to be your friend first. I think you're really cool. I want to build a friendship first. And we did. We built a friendship first, and we purposely and intentionally and mutually waited.
And it was probably that much better when it actually did happen. Like there was value to it.
Amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. And we ended up dating for a few years. So
yeah. So ladies, lock it up. Okay. So I have to ask you this because you're a world-renowned matchmaker and I'm sure you have some great stories. What is the funniest dating disaster story that you've heard in your career, if you can think of it?
Funniest dating disaster? Okay. Oh my God. This is I've had a lot. Luckily, there hasn't been so many disasters because, we vet people pretty well, but every once in a while, we'll get something go crazy. I actually had a very sweet gentleman sign with us early on when I first started doing this, who was just so sincere. He was like, I'm very skeptical. I don't know if this is going to work. He's one of those woe is me people. So I said, don't worry. I took photos of him. I gave him my best pep talks. And I said, I'm going to introduce you to somebody I know personally. She's terrific. She's beautiful. She's great. I know her. We traveled together. And I did. I knew her for years.
Yeah.
What I didn't know was that over the years that her and I had been out of touch, she had developed a raging addiction to gambling.
Oh.
So their first date ended up being at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, because I guess that's where she wanted to go. Not only was she not present for the date, he ended up, from what he tells me, chasing her around the casino where she was completely obsessed with money, spending money, losing money, going back, asking him for more money to gamble, taking money out of the ATM machine. And anybody who struggled with addiction knows that addiction is a real thing. So this is actually, it's very funny, but it's actually very sad. So when he told me about it, not only was I shocked because her and I had actually gone to Vegas together. I never saw her gamble once, like years and years ago with friends. Nor did she have a drinking problem or any other issue. She was very even keeled. Well, over time, I guess she had run into financial insecurity and had this. So it was a debacle. He called me and he was like, who in the world did you set me up with? Why was she running around like a mafia? like
oh my gosh.
Some Martin Scorsese film. And I was like, oh my God. So that was pretty bad. And yeah. But what I said to him was, clearly she has a problem. She needs a 12-step for gambling. I'm so sorry. We're not going to count this as a match. Let's start over. And we did.
Did he eventually find his match?
did. He found a very nice woman up by where he lives who was very chill.
Yeah.
Very chill, very attractive. And that's what he wanted.
That is so funny. I know it's always so funny, the dating disasters. I had one, it was a matchmaker that set me up with this guy. So she sets me with this guy. He picks me up in his car, but with a driver. Okay. So it was in New York City, he had a driver. And the whole way down there, he's like smoking joints out the window. Obviously
Oh,
he's a successful man, but and then it's like the door was open for me and I got in, so I didn't see it. So he's smoking and I'm trying and like breathing out the other side of the window because I can't do marijuana because it makes me just fall asleep. So I'm trying not to get contact high as we're going to one of his the Soho house in New York. And so we get there and I get out and I'm not tall. I'm like 5'3", barely. And this guy was probably 5'2".
oh God. And you're in heels. So at this point, you're towering over him because if you're anything like me, I'm also 5'3". I wear like 5-inch heels.
Yeah. So we go and the guy was very nice and he like we had a really good time. Um, but the next time he picked me up, same thing with the joint, but this time I get high and I like fall asleep on the date. And I'm like, I can't deal with a guy who smokes. I don't know how he works, but he smokes weed from like the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed. And I'm like, yeah, no. Oh, I had another guy. This is another dating disaster, which is pretty funny. And then we're gonna move on. I had another guy who took me. Oh, this is a great story. I've never shared this on the podcast ever.
Okay. Okay.
I have
Drum
this
roll,
guy.
please.
I meet him out. He like knew who I was, but I didn't know who he was. Meet him out. We go on our first date the following day to a nice lunch, and then I have to go back to the city. And then the second date, I was going to go up to where he was, which was just outside of the city in Connecticut. And I get back to his place. I was going to sleep in like a different room, and he hands me like a box. And I was approaching the holiday season, so I'm like, oh, how sweet! Like a box of chocolates, like that's so cute. So I open it up, assuming it's a box of chocolates, and when I pop the lid off, it is a 10-speed vibrator.
Ah!
And
Oh
I was
my
thinking to myself,
God.
like, what the fuck? And he goes, well, I figured you're up here. We could have some fun. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have fun. You aren't going to have any fun. Like, are you kidding me? A 10-speed vibrator. Oh,
Wow.
then he goes, well, I go, okay, we got to take it down a notch. And then he goes, well, let's go take a trip to Florida. So he buys me a plane ticket. And I'm trying to make it clear. I'm like, listen, I'd rather get to know you as a friend and like take all this down a notch. And if we can be friends, then maybe we can pursue something else. But I'm like, this is all like too
Right.
weird and happening. And then
Ugh.
he goes, wait, you're not going to sleep with me in Florida? And I go, no, I'm not even in a relationship with you. So then he goes, okay, we'll consider the trip canceled. And then he sends me a Venmo request for the price of the ticket.
Oh,
I said, go fuck yourself. Thanks for the
wow.
plane ticket, dick. That happened to me.
Wow.
Nuts. I was like,
Tell me you met him online.
no, I met him. He like went to high school with a friend of mine and like
Okay.
bar.
I was gonna say, if there's any matchmakers that are setting you up with that, need to be fired immediately.
No,
Wow.
oh my gosh, I know. He like stalked me. Well, he also told me like I manifested you. And I'm like, that's the creepiest thing anyone has ever said to me. You manifest situations, you don't manifest specific people.
That's
Like,
weird.
don't say that. If anyone's out there, don't ever tell somebody you manifest stuff because it is a weird, weird thing. Okay, so let's get into the next good stuff. How do you clearly state when you're dating somebody what you are looking for or your needs without coming off as needy or desperate?
Well, it depends on what your needs are.
Well, what if you're like, hey, like somebody sits down and they go, what are you looking for? And you happen to be looking for, well, I'm looking for a husband or a wife, like a life partner to share my life with. I'm looking for somebody to pay half my rent. You know, or all of my rent. I don't know.
Okay, well, I would say be honest, get polarizing, because if you, and I think this should be delivered with some level of humor and tongue-in-cheekness so that people don't get scared. there's nothing wrong with wanting something, whether it's pay, share in the burden of financial life, which by the way is one of the reasons people get married anyway, let's face it, whether they're
Yeah.
looking for marriage, whether they're looking for someone to wake up to, someone to snuggle with on the holiday weekends.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to really be honest about what you're looking for. I think the delivery is important, how you deliver the message. I think if you are sincerely and authentically, I'm big on sincerity and authenticity, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I think if you're sincerely and authentically looking for those things, then you should say that you're looking for those things. They always say, like, you have to be yourself and you have to kind of share where you are in your journey, honestly. And you could
Okay.
also say, I would love to do this with the right person, so that it doesn't make them feel like you're immediately projecting all of what you need onto them. You would have to say, with the right person, I'm open and I'm hoping for that. I once
Yeah.
dated a guy who said to me, I want you to know that I'm open for love. I am. I'm open for those things. I'm open for partnerships. I'm open for all of it right now. And I thought that was such a beautiful way of expressing where he was without
I,
projecting it onto me and
yeah.
freaking me out, because I'm a very independent, entrepreneurial type person. That said, I've been married, I've been engaged, I've been unengaged, and I've been in all kinds of, wonderful and some not so wonderful relationships.
Yeah.
But that I really like that he expressed himself to me that way.
No, that's good. And I also think like, and from, I mean, I didn't used to be this way, but like, obviously like retain the power before you sleep with them. But I always felt that, say what you want, not in
Yeah.
a crazy way, because you're going to get rid of the person that's not for you very quickly.
Well, I think it goes back to communication 101, right? Which is, you want to express how you feel and what you would like without making that person the victim, without making the person the target. So even it goes with communication in arguments. Let's say, Madison, you did something that upset me. I would say it wouldn't be like, Madison, you suck, you did this. It's about how I feel. Madison, what you said upset me. I feel and I'm upset, and keep it on yourself. So I think that type of communication is more relational and more successful than, this is what I want, and here I'm dumping it onto you. People don't want
Yeah. No, that's very well said. So if you're single, listen up.
that.
And then what are some tips though to create a great online dating profile? Because that's the majority of what people are doing.
Recent photos, people. Nobody wants to see photos of you 5 years ago, 10 years
No.
ago, what you don't look like anymore. What you look like is what you look like. Embrace it and have it be accurate representation of who you are now, today. I feel that for women, it's important to look open and friendly and sexy. Men are extremely visual, and if any woman that tries to avoid this is not going to be successful. It's like a resume, but it's a resume for
Yeah.
men. They're very, very visual. So something like what you're wearing, with a beautiful feminine color, a little bit low cut, but not too much. Open, nice smile, sexy. Something she would wear on a first date that she was
Oh,
excited about.
okay. Yeah.
First night, date night attire is good for the profiles.
But so okay, so what is a good night date? I mean, I'm not a matchmaker, so I always tell people, I go, you should look worse than you do in your photos. So
Oh,
they're really surprised when they see you.
no. Madison. No.
I actually had a guy tell me, he goes, you don't look like exactly like your photos. And I go, okay, I don't know how to take that. And he goes, you look better than your photos. I go, oh yeah, I don't photograph well. He was like, no shit. I'm like, oh, take that as a compliment.
No, I think you should look as good as you would look on a first date, and feel as good as you would on a first date. Be in a good mood when you take the photos. Try and get a friend to make you laugh if you're feeling awkward about it, because the camera senses all that. The camera is weird.
Oh,
Camera picks that stuff up. Sunset is makes everyone look golden, amazing goddesses. Go out in the sunset or sunrise. I personally am not a morning person. Some people are. God bless you for those people. Go out in the sunset, go out in the sunrise. You have golden natural light. It's beautiful. You can take some photos there. Lighting is very important. Don't give me some dark, depressing corner of your house. No, that doesn't work. If you're a guy, I would say dress up, at least put a colored shirt on. Don't give me the gym pictures. No pictures in the bathroom, for God's sakes. Bathrooms are for the
Oh,
gay. Bathrooms are for the gays, not the girls.
yeah. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, every dating profile I see now that has a picture of a guy in a bathroom, I'm gonna be like, left.
Gross. That's where you go to do your business. I don't want to see you in the bathroom. Disgusting. Put on, and you know what? Here's the thing. Women, we put so much effort into our appearances because we're judged so much by our appearances, and men are so visual. So much work that when a man puts on a little bit of effort, or puts in a little bit of effort, I should say, and puts in a nice jacket or a nice collared shirt, we appreciate it as women. We're like, yeah, you know, damn, he's got a little style. Damn, he cares. He's excited to see me. And it goes a long way. It goes a long way with the ladies.
No, that makes absolute sense. So wait, what is first date attire? What is the ideal for, let's talk about girls first and then guys.
Sure. So first date attire is you have a dinner at a fun place with a guy who I just matched you with, who you're excited to meet. What would you wear?
Me personally,
Yeah.
depends on the season.
Okay.
Cold, I would wear jeans, like tight jeans, probably some heels that I can walk in. And
Always a good idea.
and then I don't know, like a dressy wife beater, like a camisole type thing. I don't, something that shows my tits that aren't me, that I bought, but
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I guess I mean I for me I just like want to be like comfortable. I don't want to feel like, I would definitely never wear a black dress and heels to a first.
Okay.
I'm like,
So what I would say to that is if you definitely, I worked one time with a widow. She's about 52 years old. She hadn't been a date since 1984. So we had a lot of challenges.
wow.
She's not happily married, by the way, to the first match. First match. True
Wow.
story. Absolutely true story. Well, I went over to her. I went to her and I said, I grabbed this sexy little black dress, just like you said, out of the closet. I said, put this on. And she said, I never wear sexy little black dresses. I said, then don't wear it. I want you to feel comfortable and authentically you. It has to feel you in your own sexy brand. Okay. So for you, it's jeans and a sexy camisole and high heels that you can walk in. So that's perfect. That's what you need to be in, because if you feel comfortable, you're going to exude comfortable and you're going to be more likable because you're feeling confident in your own skin. Men love a woman who's confident in their own skin, and vice versa. Of course, women love a man who's confident in his own skin. So if you're over there in a little black dress and you're not comfortable and you're pulling at yourself and you're feeling like you can't walk, that's not sexy. And it doesn't matter that you're gorgeous and stunning. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be exuding sexiness and relatability.
Right. Well, exactly. That's why I say like don't wear Spanx on a date. I don't wear Spanx.
No,
Like
I don't. No,
terrible.
I don't do Spanx.
Nor am
Yeah.
I shifting. Like for those of you who are listening on audio, if you go over to our YouTube channel, you can see that I'm not in my traditional place. So I'm like sitting where the lights just shifting left and right. You're like golden hour, and like the sun just blacks my face out. But we're still here. We're still doing it. But it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great view. So okay, so that's good to know. And then how do you, like, what are some tips that you would give to help increase your confidence while you're dating? Because there is so much rejection, and I don't care who you are, everybody feels this rejection.
Yeah, I would remind ourselves and anybody who's out there that when you and another person are not a match, that it's really important not to take it personally, because not everybody's going to be a match with you. We are as unique as our connections. To make a connection with someone and develop something special is truly special. So sometimes I think, people, especially online, they go out there thinking they have to match with everybody, but it's not about matching. It's about being authentically yourself
Yep.
And then you'll match synergistically with someone else, because that's the only way to, by the way, you're getting some really great lighting on you right now.
All
Stay
right.
there, stay right there. You look like an angel. Yeah.
I'm like, hey God, how are you? Are you bringing me my match?
Yeah.
No, I know this is bananas. You guys have to check out this YouTube video. If you don't check out our YouTube channel, hardly anyone goes there. So you should start going there. But you could see this light that's like
Amazing. It's amazing.
blasting in my face. It's been changing all the time. And I go, yeah, I didn't really think this whole thing through. But we're doing it. We're here. We're good. I'm in
You're
New
doing
York,
it.
for the book. So it's all good. Okay, so no, that's good. And then what
So there's logic, right? Then you can also trick yourself into confidence by doing daily affirmations and mantras. So anybody that doesn't meditate, I would say meditate. If you're looking to, meditation is the magic juice of life. If you are looking to build wealth and abundance or attract more clients, there's meditations for everything. You can do meditations on a daily basis to boost your confidence, to attract your partner, to, let's get energetic and spiritual about it, because let's face it, there is an intention behind that intention. So even the energetics of it, and again, I'm not a quantum physics expert, but energy is energy. That's why outgoing people attract outgoing people, and it's the way the world works, right? Successful people hang with the successful people, and so on down, because they're like-minded. So you want someone like-minded, so you can do meditations that are to attract your partner. You can do meditations that are embracing your authenticity, which I love. You can also do affirmations, which if you look in the mirror and say something 5 times, you can actually reprogram your subconscious around that to actually believe the things that you're saying. So if you want to, let's say you're having trouble, you're feeling rejected, you could just say, I am lovable, I am sexy, I am whatever it is, fill in the blanks that you want, right? I am easy to love, and I am willing to, and I'm ready for a partner. Let's say I did this kind of work. I recently did a pilot for HBO Max, and they brought me a hero who's like 30 years old, and he was a mess. And so I was like, oh my God, we can't even begin to talk about you and how you approach the ladies, because you can't even approach the ladies. You're over there in a corner, like in the fetal position. Like, let's start with some self-love. Let's start with some innate confidence building. And I'm going to take you on a fast track, trick your subconscious, because you need a hack. Like, okay, you need a stylist, and we got him a stylist. And okay, you need a choreographer, we got him a choreographer. And okay, we got him a mentor. But I was like, we need to do a fast track. So here I pulled out like a mirror, like a beauty mirror, and I put it up in front of him, and I was like, I want you to actually, and what do you want to be? And he was like, I want to be proud, and I want to be confident, and I want to be lovable. And it was just, it was heartwarming to see that. And I checked in on him after the pilot a few months, and he was like, you know what? I'm actually starting to feel something. I started working out regularly. I've started doing this. And that's how it all starts. That's how we build confidence. To have confidence, we must do self-esteem. We must do esteemable acts.
Yeah. No, that's really well said. But I like the whole 5 times thing. So whatever maybe you're lacking and you want to improve, just say it. And it should be 5 times a day, or 5 times every time you go to the bathroom.
I would say brush your teeth. Whenever you do it and brush your teeth, you go and brush your teeth and you do it. And then at night you do it, maybe one more time in the middle of the day. But if you're doing it 3 times a day, let's say for 21 days, it's very powerful. You can even do a sticky. Ladies, you can do your red lipstick on the mirror.
Yeah.
And these hacks work. They are subconscious neurological hacks that work.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because dating is such a thing that I think so many people actually struggle with, because in business and jobs, things like that, like you have more control. You can go to work, you can do a good job, you can do more things to help your business. But when it comes to love, you don't really have much control. But it's like, you don't want to have control. I think it's just, you want what's good for you. So just like let the universe or God or whatever you believe, like bring it in. That's how I am.
There's a lot of,
I'm very chill about the whole thing now, because I'm like, it's meant for me, it'll be for me. Like I'm not
1,000%, 1,000%. And as long as you're not under the gun of a deadline to have kids, I think there's no reason to rush. You can be open, you can have fun, you can enjoy all different types of relationships and building those relationships with people. People sometimes glorify the marriage thing. Well, let me tell you something. I know a lot of people who aren't happy married.
Yeah.
And if you're a successful woman, do you even really need to be married? I'm not trying to be controversial. My sister is happily married and has 2 kids, and it's beautiful. I choose to have a different type of lifestyle. Again, I was married, then I was unmarried, then I was engaged, and I was unengaged. And now I'm in a place where it doesn't really matter what my relationship status is, much like you. And I'm happy and I'm whole. And so I'm bringing that happiness and that wholeness to all of my relationships, whether they're friendships, whether they're romantic, whether they're potentially romantic. And it's a good place to be. It's freedom.
No, it definitely is. Yeah, I think my only rush is that like I want somebody to share the household expenses with. So I got
As
60 days to
mentioned
do it
earlier.
before, because I was going to get a business partner, a business apartment back in New York. So I don't want to be here full time, part time. And I was like, I'm not doing this on my own. Everything's so crazy. I'm like, I need to find somebody who's going to do this with me, or to let me move in. I have 60 days. That is it.
No pressure.
Nope. I'm just going to have fun with it. If it doesn't happen in 60 days, it wasn't meant to be. What can happen in 60 days? But I'm like, I'm going to find somebody who's going to let me move in with him for 60 days. Ooh, that should be a show.
That reminds me of that movie, How to Lose a Guy in 11 days.
Oh yeah, how to lose a guy in 10 days. This will be how to get him to let you move in 60.
I think oftentimes too, we think we know what's best for us, and we really get caught up on that specific outcome. And I think sometimes what happens is that outcome doesn't happen, but something else that's more wonderful and more fulfilling and more appropriate for us manifests, to quote your favorite word, manifests that situation, right?
Totally.
So we have to be open to those possibilities too, I think.
Yeah.
We don't always know what's right for ourselves. We really don't. We think it doesn't matter how successful and how powerful. People get really caught up with that, and then they think they're in charge more than they really are. I mean, the pandemic is just a perfect example of that. This economy is a perfect example of that. The war that's happening. I think it's important to be grateful every day and see the possibilities. If you are alive and you're healthy and you're here, especially here in these wonderful cities, LA, New York, Miami, you're winning.
Yeah. No, it's very, very true. And I think it's just like, I always like to see life as like a river. Like you can't go against the river. You just got to go with the flow. So it's like,
Definitely.
just go with the flow, whatever. Let life surprise you.
Yes.
I always had this thing. I watch my dog, this little dog. She's so cute. When she wakes up every morning, it's like the greatest day of her life. Like she wakes up like she's so excited. And it's like, and I'm like, I gotta wake up. Everyone should wake up like this dog. She every day is gonna be the best day of her life, and she's so excited. And I'm like, you know what? That's true, because any day could be the best day of your life. You just have to be ready for it. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
There are no guarantees. People ask me sometimes, well, what's the guarantee? And I'm like, well, I'm not an effing fairy godmother, okay?
Yeah.
If I could guarantee love, and I could guarantee it on a first match, I certainly would. And believe me, I'd be talking to you from my yacht in Capri and with my helipad if that was the case.
True.
Okay. None of us have any guarantees. So the best thing to do is to be open-minded, invest in yourself, just like you invest with a matchmaking membership, just like you would invest in portfolio or surgery or real estate. I mean, it's an investment. It's like a private club. You want to be in the club with like-minded people who are emotionally invested in meeting other people.
Yeah. No, that very well said. But I do have one question. If a woman hires you, do you match them with clients, or do you
both?
Well,
The way the matchmaking industry works, this is not a me thing or an agency specific thing. The way the industry works as a whole, because it is a business at the end of the day, even though it's a very emotional business, still a business. And we use a combination of members and the people in our database to match each and every one of our members. So it could be someone who's paid a screening fee. It could be someone that's been recruited for them based on what they were looking for through our personal and professional networks. It could be someone that we have financially incentivized to find the type of person that we're looking for them. It's many different ways, just the same as a headhunter would for a professional role. It's very similar.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, you're like a headhunter for like sex. But I mean,
sometimes,
right?
most of the time, on a good day, on my best day, on regular days, I'm scouting for compatibility and love.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because I remember, like, I've been, I was very, got sucked into the feminist movement, which is fine, but it went a little too extreme. I
Right.
was affected by that. And I'm like, life would have been a lot easier had I been more open-minded and had a partner. But instead,
Yeah,
I'm going to do it all on my own and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like, this is stupid. Like, that's just dumb. You can do everything you want and it's going to be better because you're going to take all that pressure off you. And like, you just don't have to be alone. And like, I was
definitely.
this way 7 years ago. I used to, because I was so personally, I was emotionally unavailable because I was like trying to figure out my career and do my career, that I would attract also emotionally unavailable people. And then when they
Law of
wouldn't,
attraction.
yeah, they wouldn't give me exactly what I wanted. I was like, oh, perfect. Because I don't really, I
Hmm.
subconsciously didn't really want it.
Yeah, because that's what you really wanted anyway.
Yeah, but I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, God, if I could punch my younger self in the face, but everything happens for a reason. So
Totally, totally.
now,
And you know what? Hindsight's 2020. Of course, there's nothing, there's no real substitute for experience.
yeah, exactly. So now I'm like, okay, I'm ready for somebody to, I don't even have to pay all my bills. Just have to pay like half. It's very expensive in New York City to live by yourself. And I don't want to have a roommate unless they're having sex with me, which would
New
be,
York is well, that's a whole other setup.
yeah, I know. I don't bang outside of relationships. As God, I'm so crude. Like, I don't bang as I'm drinking like my Dunkin'
Where
Donuts,
where are you from originally, Madison?
Colorado.
Okay, okay. Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, you just stepped into your New York shoes. I was actually just in New York for Fashion Week and it was super, super fun. Super, super
It is.
fun.
I lived here for so long and then I escaped during the pandemic. I put my stuff in storage and I'm just not. And then I was going to start to come back, but I was like, I'm never coming back full time because I didn't want to live in a city full time. Like that was like,
Yeah.
I like the suburbs now. So it's like, okay, I'll do half and half. That way I can, have it as a write off and avoid taxes, those taxes, go elsewhere. But anyways, then when I started like really being serious about looking, the prices went through the roof. And I go, well, that's just stupid because there's nothing that's making me be there at this exact moment when I need to be
Right.
like in a hotel or an Airbnb and blah, blah, blah. So, but now the prices are starting to come down a little bit, but I'm like, that's just stupid to pay that rent. So I'm like,
I agree.
maybe I'll find a nice boy or not boy. I don't want a boy, gentleman who will be like, yeah, when you're in New York, just come live with me. 60 days.
I can't wait to see what your experiment turns out to be.
I know.
Be posted.
It's gonna be great. Okay, so where can everybody find you?
I think the best way is VIP Matchmaker on Instagram.
Okay.
Follow me there. I give out some advice. I've been speaking on panels. I've done a couple of reality shows, so it's been fun. I'm sharing a little bit of that and a lot of advice and support. So hit me up there. Shoot me a
Okay.
DM. I answer my own DMs.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you are looking for a matchmaker, go find her. If you're looking for advice, I'm sure she'll be happy to talk to you.
Absolutely.
Watch.
Consultations. I do
Yep.
complimentary consultations.
Okay. Well, this is perfect. And if you
Yeah.
are married and you need relationship advice, I'm sure she's got that too.
Got that too.
So hit her up, follow her. I follow you. I love your stuff. I think it's great.
You too.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you, everybody who's listening, wherever you may be listening. We'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.